Hey, good morning. My name is Joey Smith. Just let you know who I am and what I've been doing. Number one, we on 43rd Street right now at Boys and Girls Club, and I've lived in this neighborhood all my life. I grew up in Boys and Girls Club right in this building. When I was a young guy, we watched them put this place up brick by brick, and me and my buddies I grew up with, we were the first members that walked through the door. As a matter of fact, the first 15 members, or it may have been 20, that bought a membership, they gave us a free pair of Chuck Taylors. So, I got a free pair of Chucks, because, back in the day, the canvas Chucks, that's what the NBA wore. So, you couldn't tell us anything. Now I want to tell you about how Mr. Harrel Johnson and Miss Myrtle Johnson, who I affectionately called Mom and Dad, I want to tell you about how they came into my life and what they meant to me. In about 1985 at the Boys and Girls Club, I was volunteer coaching. Hadn't worked for the club, but I was a volunteer coach. Baseball in the summer, basketball in the winter. We were in the gym one day, and I had a group of young men, 14 and 16-year-olds, that were a pretty good group of athletes. That year, for whatever particular reason, the club was we were kind of restricted budget-wise. So we didn't have enough money to go out and put the kids in the league, so we played intramural. Well, I felt like the kids needed to branch out and play against a little stiffer competition, because we had beat everybody, in the Boys and Girls Club. Came to practice one day, and we were practicing, and a gentleman came in the gym and stood around and watched us. I had never seen him in my life, and I'm pretty sure Mom, Miss Myrtle Johnson, was there too. And so he watched me practice for about a half hour. So when we got through, he came up and introduced himself, and he said, "Hey," we introduced ourselves formally, and he said, "Hey, you kind of know what you're doing a little bit." And I never will forget that, because he said, "You know what you're doing a little bit." So I didn't know. So that was a compliment. That was a compliment, at that time, but I didn't realize it then. He said that, "Hey, I just got back from out of town." He had left. I think he told me to take care of some business or some property that he owned out of state. And he said, "I've been gone a while." He said, "So what happened? I've lost a lot of my kids, but I still have a lot of spots left. Basketball leagues already paid for, but I don't have the kids to fill those spots. Would you be interested in your boys playing in Kansas City Keys basketball spots?" And I'm like, sure. That was a blessing from heaven. So let me tell you what Mr. Johnson did. He had us playing so much basketball, a lot of times we didn't even know what gym we were in. He had us in a league almost every day. And not only that, he would meet us here in this parking lot and take us to the games. And then he would bring us back to the club, and kids that didn't get picked up, he would take them home. So again, he was a dad to not just me, but so many of my ball players. And as I got to know Mr. Johnson and saw some of the older guys in their 20s and 30s, I just started hearing so many testimonies about what the Johnsons had did, especially in the urban core.
Hi, I'm Bob Kendrick, president of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, historic 18th and Vine, Kansas City, Missouri. I got to Kansas City chasing a basketball of all things, and it's funny now that I make my living in baseball, albeit baseball history, but I left Crawfordville, Georgia. Crawfordville, Georgia is east of Atlanta, west of Augusta, all of about 500 people. And I got a basketball scholarship to go to then Park College, now Park University. That was 1980. And I've been here ever since. And after I graduated from college and had started to move into my professional career is when I was actually introduced to the Kansas City Keys organization, and of course Harrel and Myrtle Johnson, two of the most amazing people that I've ever met in this city. And to say that it was love at first sight would absolutely be correct. They were just, I was taken by their spirit and their sense of community, their strong sense of community and what they were doing to give back to our community and helping so many young people not only be in a position to play sports, but be in a position to grow by playing sports. And that captivated me, and I was thrilled to be a part of the organization.
So what would be the hallmark brand of Kansas City Keys basketball?
Fear. Fear. Removing fear from my players by practicing my 12 and unders against my 14 and unders. Practice my 14 unders against my 16 unders. Practice my 18 and unders against my 16 and unders and men's team. And once they learn to play against those older, bigger, tougher groups, you're removing fear from these players. Now you can get results.
Really, you just kind of graduated one step, started playing on a dirt court, and you go from dirt to the blacktop. And the only way that you could play on the blacktop, because the older players were always out there. So the only way that you were going to play is that you had to play with and against the older players. They were going to beat you up pretty good, but then you just kind of grow.
Name is Prentice Potts. And the head boys basketball coach at Grandview High School. I've been the head coach at Leavenworth, Schlegel, Turner. Also worked over at Avila under Bill Sloan and Rodney Perry, poor Tom Bean. Jumped kind of around playing school ball. Graduated from Shawnee Mission North year 2000. You know, played with some great kids. Played with the Keys as my AAU team growing up. Also played with the team out of Central Kansas. With guys like Brett Wise, Jeremy McFall, Dennis Latimer, Corwin Young, or Corwin Johnson, excuse me, Corwin Johnson out of Topeka. So kind of been around for a while, you know, played for a while, and yeah, I'm here. I'm a teacher now, certified administrator. Yeah. So I was in the 3rd grade, and Mr. Johnson actually knew my father because my father had played with the Keys growing up. And I was actually living in Butler with my grandma at the time, and my dad brought me up for a practice like on a Thursday night or a Wednesday night, and it was at the old Central Middle School. Is that still the middle school now to this day? Well, it's still Central Middle School. And never forget it, Pierre was there, Ray, Jeff, Thomas, Tommy Williams, and it was definitely the beginning of something that was long lasting. So yeah. But Mr. Johnson I remember he had this raspy voice, and he kept comparing me to my dad. That's all he kept saying. Your daddy used to put his elbows above the rim. You ain't never gonna be able to jump like your daddy. So that was my goal, to strive and make sure when I got to that point where I was old enough to jump, dunk, do all those things, I would jump like my daddy. But yeah, it was definitely an eye-opening experience coming from a smaller town, back to Kansas City and playing with the talents and the likes of the kids that we had on that group. So.
Cool. I remember I think that was 95, might be wrong, might be 96. Minnesota championship team that he coached. Do you remember anything like pivotal or just memorable from that experience?
So it was the BCI, I believe,
Yeah.
internationals or invitationals or something like that, and it was up in St. Paul, Minnesota. And I just felt like that was the first time that we had been out of town, that was hours away, and we performed on a level that, you know, I think just kind of set the tone for where we were going with the future, and really kind of jump starting what the Keys had or started to do, you know, after we left. So, you know, obviously with sponsorships and getting, you know, better kids and kids getting bigger scholarships and things like that. So I think the thing that stuck out to me the most is just really the camaraderie, the brotherhood that we had, and it was almost like we were brothers. You know, I feel like we would fight with each other off the court, but on the court, it was like we wouldn't let anybody mess with us. You know, it was like almost like a 7-man or 8-man army sometimes. But that's what made just being a part of the Keys special. I think, you know, Mr. Johnson really didn't have any kids. He had his grandkids, obviously his grandson being you. But some of the stuff that they would do, let me spend the night, feed me, take care of me for the weekend, pick me up, drop me off. And I was the only Kansas kid. So at the time, it was like people was driving out of their way. And I just felt so thankful and grateful to play basketball at a whole nother level, and just be around people that genuinely cared about you, not because you could play basketball.
AJ, this is the reason why, the vision for this. This is Harrel Johnson, the starter of the Kansas City Keys, senior.
I met you long years ago. My youngest son played for the Keys. Okay. When we first moved here, and I met you over at, I think it was Manual Tech. It was years ago, though. You probably don't remember that.
We spread out. We was just all over.
Yeah.
Like I said, every time I see Keys, that's all I'm begging him. Like, where your grandpa? Where your this? Where you that?
He told me about you. I can't believe it, man. That's great, though. I say, you the first to do this. All them people that we had, you the first to do it.
Well, hey, there's gonna be some more, and it's coming. So. But it's dope, man. I'm telling you.
But see, you don't know what you developing out here.
Yeah.
But you helping somebody.
Yeah. And we just had this year will be our first graduating class from college.
Bring up the urban core because that's my life. You know, the people in the urban core, and really what we need. And I know we have some out there, but we need some more Harrel and Myrtle Johnsons. That's what we really need. I'm a firm believer in this. When we were coming up, when I was young, most of us were from 2 good parent homes, but there were a lot of us that were from 1 good parent homes, and times have changed. So I'm a firm believer that right now a lot of the kids, and I work in the school, we're all they got. You know, their coaches, their teachers, we're all they got. And what Mr. Johnson did, and we modeled our sports programs after it. It wasn't just about sports. I know you guys hear it all the time. It's about life, but he really did those things. He stood in the gap. He stood in the gap, and he would be your father or your grandfather or your uncle or whatever the lack was in your home. And Mr. Johnson also never made it. He never shied away from telling you that God is his strength. You know, and that's one of my mottos too, that I really feel like that until we put God back in the home, it's not going to get any better.
And I can even relate back on this conversation. I think there were 3 individuals that kind of helped me understand the importance of giving back and the importance of community. Harrel and Myrtle Johnson and Buck O'Neill. They all had this same kind of dedication and commitment and understanding that you have to extend yourself to help others. And really the joy that comes along with helping others, there's nothing greater than service. And Harrel and Myrtle Johnson for so many years served this community, and this community is better as a result of that. They literally helped shape and change the lives of so many young people. And I think what they were able to do was instill belief. You know, so many of our children just need someone to help them believe in themselves. You know, and it's amazing that in the urban core in particular, they don't oftentimes get that. And what Harrel and Myrtle Johnson did was they instilled that sense of belief, that sense that you can accomplish whatever you set your mind, your heart, and your soul to wanting to accomplish. And being around people like that, there's a natural spillover effect. And I saw the same thing with my friend Buck O'Neill, who, while he dedicated himself to this museum, you saw Buck involved with virtually every not-for-profit organization in this city because he understood that those organizations helped really improve the quality of life for citizens in our community. And that's exactly what Harrel and Myrtle Johnson did. And I couldn't have been more proud of having an association, a friendship, and being a part of the Johnson family through this work with the Kansas City Keys.
Like they did that because he genuinely cared about them.
Yeah.
I think that's what the Keys to me was really about. It had nothing to do about the sports and us playing baseball or football or basketball. It had everything to do with like that family, that bond, that camaraderie, that brotherhood, that fraternity that it created and made you want to be around them. I'm not going to say like I had the best time playing basketball with y'all, but I did have the best time just being around y'all.
Yeah.
You know, which to me is the lasting memory that I'll always have about the Kansas City Keys. Mr. Johnson, old and young Mr. Johnson, your mother, Mrs. Johnson, your grandmother. It was just a genuine love for you. It was nothing that oh he's gonna bring a shoe deal or oh he's gonna bring all these college coaches. No, it was never that. That's why we didn't take the ass chewings personal. You know what I mean? Because it was like that's like my father. You know what I'm saying? That's like my grandfather. He's getting on me because he loves me. He cares about me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So it was a different level of accountability. You know, we expected each other to be at practice. We expected each other to guard. We expected each other to be in help, right? Yeah. We expected each other if we got into a scuffle off the court to be there and stand up for each other, even if we all was getting whooped. So I mean, that was the piece for me that I took away from it, and that was the piece that I'll always hold near and dear to me.
Harrel Johnson, the senior. All right, he is the founder, the starter of the Kansas City Keys. Everybody should know exactly who the Kansas City Keys is. What this man meant for me in my life is the reason why we don't turn kids away, the reason it gave me the blueprint to build and be better, to have and build these relationships. This is the direct link. This don't happen. Because the vision with Marcus and I to connect with AJ and Jeff does not happen, all right? And so I just want to make sure that everybody knows your history. Don't take it for granted, because that platform was able to build a bigger platform and so forth and so on. And it might be one of y'all to take what this is that we doing to a whole nother level. One of y'all, and that's all it takes. It took one for us, and look at now what it's done. So man, y'all all make sure y'all come and dap. Don't shake his hand, dat. COVID, hey, you want to stay safe. And just give him his homage. This man is huge and important to the community. So when you hear Kansas City Keys, this is where you know you start. He gave the idea, and we did get, it's two people that I want up on the walls that's here around here. It's Earl Johnson, it's Calvin Wainwright. I know what they did. I know the chances. We will pick kids up, coming stealing, having guns, drug problems, all types of different things to save them. He's so huge and so important to me. And he'll be around whatever it is that I have to do to get him. I'm trying to get him to come with us to Omaha, get him out the house. All he want to do is hang out with his beautiful wife, which is fine. But I'm trying to get them to come here with me. He's so huge and important. And I love this man dearly. He's a huge, important influence on my life. All right. And then with that being said, it goes downhill. It trickles. So let's give a round of applause for Mr. Johnson. You hold your. Anything you want to say with all these wise knowledge?
Well, I'm just thankful for someone that I had a chance to do something with and doing so good. And there are a lot of them out there. Kansas City Keys has had over 500 young people to go to college on scholarships. And the people from our group has developed and they're doing well, and some of them that didn't go to college is doing well. So it's all, basketball is good. It's great.